So today we are doing a beginner's guide to utilizing the Webull investing app. You actually can see the app right over here in real time as I'm going to show you step by step on some of the most basic things when it comes to using the app. Now, as we go through this, keep in mind this is for sure beginners, but if you are somebody that wants to keep using the app, there's of course always going to be a little bit more to learn as you go through this process. So what I'm actually going to do is hop off screen so we could just mainly focus on this app over here so you can see everything we talk about in real time. Now, also too, if by any chance you do not already have Webull and want to sign up, I will have a link for you. You get a bunch of free stocks for using my link. And it also does help me out to continue to make more free content just like this. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here of this video. The first thing that happens when you load up the app, you can see right over here, this is going to be where it's toggled. It has the Webull logo. This is going to be the main dashboard for us. It shows our position right over here, our total net worth. You can see it changing in real time because the market is still open as of recording this right now. Now, the first thing I do want to quickly mention is that we are in our individual account. If you hit this toggle button right here, this will show you multiple accounts. So if you have like a retirement account, multiple tax brokerage accounts, you can swap between all of them all at the same time, or you can add additional ones if you want to go ahead and open more. And then up here at the very top, you can see there's assets. You can look at your P&L, any orders you maybe have going through, transfers and history, as well as documents. So some of the most basic things you can get right over here at the very top, but there is a menu button on the bottom right if you need to go into essentially more detailed information. Now, like I said, we do have our net value right over here. You can see that. And then our positions that we currently have, the companies that they are, their ticker symbols, which is the 3 to 4 letters right up here. And then right over here, you can see the current market value as well as the quantity that you have. Now, here's something really interesting and fun that I love with investing apps nowadays is that you could do what they call fractional shares. So you can see over here with Google, we have 0.513 shares of the stock. So we have about half of one full share. And what that means is that we can buy in small dollar amounts without having to pay for the full dollar amount per share. Because right now it is about $200 per share. So if you wanted to buy it at $20, you can put 20 bucks in and it'll add to your overall quantity. And you can see here with Apple, we have actually 3.44 shares. So we have more than one full share, but we still have fractional pieces of those shares. And you can see the current value of that is about $760. And then the current price per share is about $220. And then over here, this is going to be where you see your overall growth. Whether it's percentage or by dollar amount, you can see both of them in real time. Now, the first thing we really want to do before we can actually even buy our first company or shares in this portfolio, we actually want to make sure that we have an account on file for our banking. And there's a couple different ways you can get to this point, but one of the quickest ways is up here where you see the word transfers. And then from here, this is going to take you to a new setting where you can see where it says linked accounts. Right now we have one. There is an option here to go ahead and link a debit card right away. If you click this right-hand arrow, it'll kind of take you to the same place. So you can have one bank account and one linked debit card on file. So we want to make sure we have our linked account on file so you can go through that process. And the way that's going to work is it'll have you log into your bank account that you want to utilize. You'll pretty much be logging in as if you were checking into that account instantly. And what's nice is it connects it right away, which means you can start transferring money instantaneously into this account. So you don't have to sit there and wait a couple of days. Same thing with the debit card if you want to go through that process. So from here, that means we now have a bank account on file and we might want to learn how to deposit some of that money. And we're still in that same tab over here. And you can see where it says transfer money. There is a deposit option here. There is also a recurring deposit option if you want to go ahead and have this on a regular basis. Either option works for you. We're going to click on where it says transfer money. Now from here, it's going to ask you how much you like to transfer. There are a couple presets right over here, but you can just choose whatever amount you'd like, even as low as something like $10. And it's going to ask you which account you want to go from. So you choose that account. We're going to click on this. And then we're going to have the option to go ahead and choose our bank account on file. Or again, you can also link up a debit card as well. Now it does say instant transfer for the debit card. So keep that in mind. Some cards will allow that, some won't. But for our example, we're just going to go and continue with our bank on file. And then from down here, it's going to show you which account you have that is going to be transferred to. Now, also keeping in mind that you want to make sure that the option where it's going to go to is the account you want, especially if you have multiple accounts, such as a retirement account or multiple different types of brokerages. We're going to have it go into that one account. From here, it's going to say for the schedule just one time. But if you click on the right-hand arrow, it's going to give you options to go ahead and do pretty much that reoccurring deposit if you'd like to. You can go ahead and set that up, something like a daily or a weekly. You can go ahead and choose those options. But today's example, we're just going to stick with the one time here. And at the bottom here, it's going to have us review this option. Now from here, it is going to be a quick review for you. So just make sure everything looks good. It will give you an estimated arrival time, although there is a instant deposit feature that will allow up to a small dollar amount to have quick access, even though it takes a few days from your bank. Or again, you can choose that debit card option. So from here, with everything looking good, we're going to go ahead and click on submit at the bottom. And then from here, you can see that it says that the deposit has been initiated. And then you can see right over here, the instant buying power. We should have that access pretty quickly from here. Again, up to a certain dollar amount for us, but we just want to make sure that that money is still available in our account to be pulled because it will take a couple of days. So that $10 will be available for us to go ahead and utilize right away. And then what we can do is either make another deposit or we can click on cancel, or up here at the left-hand side, we can close this page down. All right, so once you close that page down, you're going to get back right over here into the transfer tab. And then what we're going to do is go right back over to our assets page. And this is where we're going to kind of reset over here for us to get to the next step, which would be to go ahead and buy a stock that we'd want to add to our position. Now, there's a couple different ways, again, to go through this process, but whichever way works best for you, go through that route. There is a watch list that you might already have available, which is going to be some of the companies you have either in your portfolio or that you're interested in checking out. There is also the market tab over here, and this will give you the option to be discovering different types of stocks or ETFs and kind of breaks some things down for you. If you know what you want to buy, you can also hit the little magnifying glass here and you can go ahead and just type in those companies individually so you can make that purchase. So typically for my examples, I like to use SoFi. That is not any kind of recommendation. It is just a company I like to utilize in my tutorials here, although they have shot up quite heavily over the last couple of months. And so it's been a little bit difficult to use this as my current example. But just to kind of show you, this is going to be what a page looks like for any particular stock or ETF. You're going to get a lot of data. It might be sometimes a little overwhelming, but keep in mind that as you keep utilizing this, more and more of this will become a little bit easier to understand and digest over time for you as well. Now over here, I just want to quickly show that you are currently on the chart page over here. There is options, news about this particular company, feed between other users that are purchasing this, as well as a couple other tabs that you can go through and see. Now it's typically set up as the 1 year, but you can check out the 3 month, the 5 year. You can kind of toggle back and forth between all of these different things. If you scroll down here, it's going to give you the option to set up a reoccurring investments for just this one particular investment, which is great if you want to do that. And then you can, again, see all the different information. Again, might be a little overwhelming at first, especially for a beginner, but just something to keep in mind that there is going to be a time that this will become easier to digest as you keep learning it. All right, so I just switched over to another company over here with Google. So what we're going to want to do is learn how to buy into this particular company. All right, so the way to get started with making a purchase on a particular stock or ETF is going to be with the trade option on the bottom left over here. You can see it's that blue option. We're going to go ahead and click on this. And then that's going to take us to this page. You actually can see this changing up here in real time as we're recording this, as the market kind of moves and shifts around. Now, there's a couple things we want to keep in mind. First off, it is set up to the buy, but if you wanted to, you can go ahead and toggle to sell, and you'll kind of see the color change over here between the two options. Now, there is an order type, and it's typically set up to limit. And if you hit this little toggle down button, it'll bring up this whole setup here. And this will give you an idea of what these different type orders really mean. And you can see these are simple orders here, and then there's going to be more complex ones at the bottom. Now, today's example, I'm not going to go over with all of these different meanings, but what we want to go ahead and use today is what they call a market order. We're going to go ahead and click on this. And part of the reason for that is you can see here, it says to buy in fractional shares. This is the option we need. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and that's going to change this to market. Now, the next section over here, it's going to say how much you want to buy in, and it says shares. But because we want to buy in fractional shares, we actually need to go ahead and click on this little option, and it switches it over to USD. And now it says fractional shares up here. And the reason we want to do that is because at a $200 price point that Google is currently sitting at, we only have $25, which means we couldn't even buy a full share if we wanted to unless we deposited more money into this account. But because we want to show just the beginning stages of getting started with investing on this as a beginner's guide, we're going to go ahead and do a fractional share. If you could buy a full share, you can go through that same process. You could just go ahead and toggle this back over to shares and then hit the plus sign to have one share. Now, again, we're going to swap back over, I can't say that word today, over to fractional shares. And you can hit the toggle button over here. It's going to go by the penny, so it can take a long time. Keep in mind that it is that $5 minimum, but today we want to go ahead and do $10. And I'm going to go ahead and close that down. Now, the next section here says time in force. Sometimes it's considered TIF, so just kind of something to consider here. This is going to be a drop-down menu. Because we're only doing a market order, it's going to be in the day that we're placing this. If you're doing a limit order, like we showed earlier, you sometimes will have the option to do like a 90-day period, which means it will make that purchase up to the next 90 days if it hits that price point you want to have it at. So for us here, you can see at this point, it says estimated shares that we would own is going to be 0.049. So about 5% of one share that we would get. And it's going to tell us our actual buying power that we have. It did jump up because of that instant deposit showed up finally. And then the available cash afterwards as well too. So if everything looks good here, we're going to go ahead and click on buy at the bottom. And then a pop-up menu is going to be showing up here for us to review. Just double check this all, making sure that everything looks good. There are no transaction fees for doing this. And then it's going to let us know when it's going through. And because we are doing this during the market hours, it's going to be available to go through. As of this recording, last I checked, the fractional shares cannot go through off the market hour. So if you're doing this in the middle of the night, it will probably tell you to go ahead and do this later in the day when the market is open. So because everything here looks good, we're going to go ahead and click on confirm. And then right over here, you can see that our order has been submitted. We did get a quick little drop down menu saying that the order has gone through. So we can click on done here. It's going to take us back to this page right over here. So if we wanted to, we can go ahead and head back over to our actual main page of our account. And then we can actually see that now we have more ownership of our Google stock because that did definitely go through, as now we have 0.56 shares of Google. And then back here as well too, you can also go to your history and look at your transaction history, and you can see that it has also gone through. Now from here, if you are also wanting to sell one of your companies or a little bit of one of your companies, obviously you would want to be here in the main dashboard of your Webull account. You can see again where it says my positions, and let's go ahead and click on Apple for our example here. And this is going to take us to a similar page that we saw earlier with our Google account, right? This is going to have some information, some data points here for us. And if we want to go ahead and sell, there's obviously the sell to close option here, but we might not want to sell all of our shares of a particular company. Maybe we just want to sell a few shares or a fraction of what we have. So we can go ahead and click on the arrow over here, and it's going to bring up a whole new set of options for us. There is the close with fractional shares, and then there is the close whole shares. Now, if we want to just do fractional shares, we're going to go ahead and click on this option, and it's going to currently set us up to all of our fractional shares, which here it's 0.44364 shares. Now for us, maybe we don't actually want to sell all of that. Maybe we just want to sell, let me go ahead and close this and say, we actually just want to sell 0.20 shares. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then it's the time in force again, very similar from earlier. It's going to be just the day for us. If we actually switch this over to the limit, which we can't do with fractional shares, that'll just go ahead and give us the option to go with a full share that we're selling, which I'll show you in just a moment. So here you can see the estimated total would be $44.29. There is going to be a transaction fee on this one for 2 cents. And then this will show us how many shares we currently have and then the cost basis for when we made that purchase. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and click on sell. And just like when we were purchasing right over here, the pop-up menu shows up here for us, just kind of giving us a little bit more of a breakdown of what all of this means here for us and what we're going to be paying, if anything, and then the total amount that we will receive. So from here, we're going to go ahead and click on confirm. And then up here at the top, you can see that that has been filled. So that went through for us. And that total amount now goes into our buying power, which we can use to go make other purchases with. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and move back to our main page over here. And let's go ahead and show you quickly what it would look like to sell a full share of the stock. And it's a little bit different. So from here, we're going to go to close whole shares. And in this section now, it's going to have the option for a limit order, although you can still choose a market order as well. And that's what we're going to go ahead and choose. And you can see here the amount of shares that we want to sell. But from here, you can go ahead and choose any amount that you want based off of what you currently have. And then the time in force is, of course, still the day here for us because we're in the market type. And then over here, you can see the total estimate that we're going to make for this sale. Again, any transaction fees that we have and the current amount of shares we currently have all together, and then what our cost basis was. So if you want to, you can go ahead and click on sell. The pop-up menu shows up just like the other time as well. Just verify everything looks good, and you can go ahead and click on confirm for this, for that whole share to go through. Now, I did want to show you, if you switch over here on the order type back to limit order, what this is going to look like. It does change it up quite a bit here for us. So the limit order tells us that we have a limit price that we want to sell the Apple shares at. Now, it currently has it toggled over here at $221.45. You can go ahead and change this plus or minus by the the cents, or you can tap over here to go closest to the next bid or the next ask, as well as the last sale, or you can go ahead and type in your own dollar amount. Now, for us, we're just going to show this example here, how many you want to go ahead and trade, which for this example is 1. And then the trading hours, we can go ahead and click on here. This is a new option for us. And there is the regular hours, which is typical stock market opening hours and closing hours. And then there is now including the extended hours as well as the overnight trading. Now, the differences between all of these options is that the extended hours as well as the overnight trading can be quite more volatile and might not actually go through. So something to keep in mind that if you want the closest range to the price that you're asking for, the regular hours will most likely have that happen for you, especially if you're in opening hours or regular hours, I should say. But again, you can actually now be trading in at different times of the day, which is pretty cool. And we'll leave that as the extended hours for this example. And then next up here is going to be time in force. Now, instead of just the day option, there is the good till canceled. And this is going to be up to 60 days for that to go through, which means that this price point will not sell unless it's that price, and it'll be good for the next 60 days for us, including in the extended hours. So this is a little bit more of a nuanced thing that we're going to have to make sure we pay attention to versus if we just did the market order and sold what we currently had in real time. And just like last time, you're going to click the sell button over here at the bottom. The pop-up menu will show up here for you. Just verify everything looks good. Click on confirm. And then again, that will go for you, not usually right away, unless the price point is really close to the current price of the stock. And then once it goes through, it'll give you the information and notification that your order has been completed. All right, so we're back here on the main page of our Webull account. Again, that's going to be with the Webull logo here in the center for us. And the next thing I want to show you is this little details tab over here for us. And we're going to go ahead and click on this. And that's going to take us to our cash details. And this is really nice, especially if you're trying to do certain things and have questions about, access to your money. And what I mean by this, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. And from right over here, it's going to first and foremost show you your asset allocations, how much you have in your stocks, how much you have in your cash. And when you scroll down over here, this is going to be a really important part over here for us, where it shows you your cash balance, but it also shows you your settled cash, unsettled cash, and then incoming funds, and then cash available to withdraw. And what I love about this is because a lot of times people might have questions of like, hey, I just sold my stocks, but I can't withdraw that. A lot of times it's because it's unsettled. And so it has to go through a certain process before you actually have access to those funds to be able to withdraw. And this section will give you some of that information here for you. So you can see right over here, unsettled cash from that Apple sale that we just did at $44.26 is not available for us to withdraw just yet. It can take anywhere from a day to 2 days for that to be available for us. Although, if we actually wanted to go ahead and do a purchase on another stock, you can see over here that $44.26 is available for us. And the reason for that is because we're moving that into another purchase of funds in the actual account directly versus pulling that money back into our bank account. So there's a little bit of a difference of our actual cash to withdraw and our actual cash balance. And this gives that really, really nice breakdown. Now, speaking of being able to withdraw cash, let me go and show you how to actually do that part of it. So I'm going to take you all the way back to the main page. I'm going to go to the left over here on the top. Now, again, very similar to all the other things we talked about here today, there are different ways to get to this withdraw page. But the easiest way for us is going to be in the transfer tab right over here on the top. Now from here, there is going to be the transfer money, very similar to when you transfer money in. We're going to go ahead and click on this. And from this section here, first we want to actually hit this little up and down arrow for us. And that's going to have now our brokerage account over here on the top, and then whichever account we choose to have that money withdrawn from on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and click on choose an account, and very similar to transferring money in, it's going to be the same way to transfer money out for us. We're going to choose our bank that we have on file for us. And then it's going to ask us how much we'd like to withdraw from here. So we're going to go ahead and toss in a dollar amount. We're going to do $10. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and click on review, keeping in mind, it will show you how much you have available to withdraw at that time. And then on the review page, we're going to just go ahead and verify everything looks good. We're transferring it from our brokerage account over to our bank account. And then if there are any fees whatsoever, if everything looks good here, we're going to go ahead and click on submit. Now from here, it will need a phone verification. So it's going to send us a text over here to our phone. We're going to plug that in. And from here, you can see your withdrawal has been initiated. It'll let you know when it got started and then when it is being processed. And if you needed to, you can go ahead and cancel here at the bottom to change that out. Now, there is also another feature that I want to show you when it comes to using Webull. If you, again, are maybe a little overwhelmed with all the different data points or pieces here on the app itself, there is an option here for you that you can go to kind of make things a little bit simpler for you. If you go to the bottom right-hand corner where you see the word menu, we're going to click on this. And that's going to take us to our menu page here. And on the top right, you're going to see this little toggle button that says LITE. So it says light. If you toggle on this, it's going to let you go to the light version of Webull. And I want to show you what this looks like. So we're going to click on the bottom here that says switch to light. And it's going to do a quick little animation here for us with this. And that's going to take us to a page that looks like this, which at the end of the day, this honestly just breaks things down a lot faster and a lot easier for most people when it comes to just getting your money invested and utilizing the Webull app as a whole. Obviously, the trade button is right over here, so it just takes you right into the process of going through and making your purchases. Very simple and very easy to use. So like I mentioned, this is a beginner's guide, and as you keep on learning and growing with the app, it will become a little bit easier for you to utilize on a regular basis. Now, if you're somebody who's still yet to get started with signing up for Webull, we'll have that link in the show notes down below for you to get you started right away on the right page. And that link will help support us out so we can make more free content just like this for you. And speaking of free content, we're going to have our next video right over here on screen so you can keep on learning and growing with your finances.